Okay, we're here. I don't know whether anything's working. Yeah, there we go. Okay, looks like it's all in now and we're alive. Um, I don't know whether you watched everything this week or paid attention to these things that have been going on, but let's see, I started out with this Roe versus Wade. Now, as you all know, that's the Supreme Court decision that legalized abortion in the United States. The Republicans now want to overturn it. And just like everything else that they do, there's no alternative to that. They want abortion banned completely, which will, doctors will be making more money performing them in alleyways and garages and storage units, but it's going to get done anyhow. Or they'll go across the border to Canada or Mexico that are much more enlightened, I would say. Um, it's a moral issue. It's not a science issue. It's nothing else. It's just simply a moral issue. They believe that, you shouldn't go around killing unborn children. Now, I don't know if you can. I'm not going to get into when there's actually life there. I support the women in the pro-abortion people. I've always have. I think we have problems with population and in the population of unwanted children. From rape and what have you, and they say, well, we'll make it legal if they're raped, and then the amount of people that actually come forward and say they were raped is ridiculously low. So there's not really anything to do there. That's just the Republicans telling you, we want you to live your life this way. And I feel it's like an Orwellian thing. They don't want you to have any freedom at all, and they don't like women. I mean, let's face it. I got a glare. Where's that glare coming from? Oh, the light upstairs is making that. Well, I'm surprised about that. Anyhow, they don't want women to have rights. They want women to be barefoot in the kitchen and cooking. Okay, they don't believe women should hold jobs. Of course, they did that back when it was really not thought of women working. They were very happy to hire them in the factories and whatnot during World War II. It seems like women are thought of as being useful only in extreme circumstances. The funny thing about them is they have some great ideas. There's some really great writers out there. There's some really good politicians out there. Some of them are a little nutty. The Greens and the Ocasios and whatnot. They're the extremes of their party or what have you. They have things working against them, youth and stupidity. But it's Madame Curie wouldn't. I mean, look at it. It's women made great advances in science, but a lot of it was done overseas because they were more accepting of women in the workplace. Men get upset, well, a woman, she's not gonna give me sex or something. If she's got a good job, she's not gonna be home taking care of me. Well, if you're a big baby and you need to be taken care of, well, that's your problem, Equal partners are something that you need in the world. You can't have this. How do you put it? You can't have this machismo thing going on. It doesn't work. All right. Women are a vital part of the workforce. They are necessary. Not just as child bearers, and if they don't want to have children, they shouldn't have to have children. I mean, they say there's a biological clock and all this, and I said, I've met women that don't want children. I've met women that should never have children. That have 3 or 4 kids and shouldn't have had one because they really don't want them. They use them. They use them to make money in divorces and other things, and that's I'm not saying that's the rule of thumb. Believe me, I know most women that are mothers are the best. My mother was one of the best women I've ever met in my life, and I know most women are like that. But there are a lot of women out there that don't. That there are women out there that don't want kids. I think there's a lot of women out there that don't want children or don't want children until they feel that they're ready. They don't want a child out of wedlock. That's they went and had sex. That's a whole different story there. But the Republicans would love to see sex with unmarried people to be banned. They're trying to go back to that marriage is to define marriage as a contract between man and woman, not two men, not two women. I don't care. Growing up, I was about 21 years old, so that's about 54 years ago. I walking down the street with my mom, and I saw a black and white couple. And my mom was very polite to them, and other people weren't. Other people were shunning them, didn't want to sit next to them. We sat next to them. It was on a bus, I think, something like that. Anyhow, my mom's sitting there, and after they got up and left us, she said, "Those are very special people." And she says, "I feel bad for them." And she said, "Why?" I said, "Because." And I said, "Why?" I didn't understand any of this stuff back then. I was a little young and stupid. And she said, "It's because they have more problems than anybody else than a normal family does." I said, "What are you talking about?" And I'm starting to, I'm 21, so my mind's wandering to where it shouldn't have been. And she turns around and says, "Because most cases, neither parent is happy. The black people don't like the white woman or the white man or whatever, whichever's whichever. If you understand what I'm saying, that it's there's no real family relationship because his families disapprove of black and white." And I said, "Oh." And she said, "That's real love." She said, "Because they're going to have to fight their whole lives." And I've met people later on in my life, black and whites that were married, and they were a couple, and they had problems. Uh, Not just with the average people walking down the street, but with other people. They lived in university communities and towns and whatnot, which are so more enlightened, but there's still assholes running around the streets. Just because you live in a university town doesn't mean you're smart. So there were problems there. I didn't, but I was very good friends with a couple. They were very, very nice people. We were friends with girls I dated and everything, and it was a good thing. I mean, I couldn't understand what all the problems were all about. But this is, it's like I don't understand if you don't want a child, what you're going to put it up for adoption, and then that's a difficult situation. I mean, I used to look at adoption and said, well, they get to pick you. If they pick you, that means they really love you. Not necessarily. Depends on the agency. Depends on you, what you look like, whatever. If you're a mixed race baby, you got no chance of being adopted. I shouldn't say no chance. You have very little chance of being adopted. If you're Native American, very few Native American children are adopted outside the tribe, and that's not the best living situation in the world. I mean, the poorest county in the United States is right outside the Lakota Sioux Reservation in the Dakotas. So, that's a thing to look at. People get married and their husband's abusive, and they don't want to have a child. I don't know. There's just enough reasons out there not to have the child. Accidents happen if you use condoms, birth control, whatever. Accidents can happen. I just think if then the child is not put into a bad situation if it's not wanted. All right. Now, I think that if you're gonna say abortion's illegal, then you have to step up contraception. You have to step up availability of vasectomies and be able to see if you have to come up with a way that they can surgically stop you from having children until you're ready to have children. Because that's the problem a lot of times. It's not emotionally ready to have a child. Um, that's how young people get pregnant because they're not emotionally secure. They don't remember their sex is sort of very quick and hurried, and they not going to remember to take out the condom and a lot of things. But I just think I get real upset about it because I think it's the government telling you how to live your life, morally. You tell me how to live my life within the certain rules of society, and I'll do that. But when you start messing with my life from a moral perspective, screw you. You don't tell me what to do and when not to do it. Um, I was lucky I didn't have kids. I always had a conversation with the woman I was sleeping with to make sure everything was cool. Um, that's the way I did. I mean, that was just that's just the way you did it. And I think I'm more lucky I didn't catch a disease than I am that I got pregnant. That I didn't get pregnant because where I was, most of the women that I was around and everything, they all did that. They all took the pill or something. So it wasn't. I'm cleaning my desk while I'm talking to you, and so it wasn't an issue. I still played a little bit of Russian roulette sometimes when I was drunk. And I regret that, but I was lucky. As far as I know, I was lucky. Or unlucky, depends how you look at it. I was in no position to raise children. I didn't want to be a father uh, because I worked so many hours and I worked late at night, 10 in bar, and wasn't going to be around to raise a child. And, I didn't see any job change in my future that was going to put me in a position where I could. So I didn't want children. That ended a lot of relationships, which was fine because I don't think there was enough feeling between us, otherwise. Okay. Um, my feelings on that now. What else was going on? Something about the Colombian president's a crook down here. I mean, you have down here a government that is truly run by crime, by criminal organizations. First of all, you take the cocaine out of the economy. It's like Bolivia. If you take cocaine out of the economy, now they use it not necessarily for making drugs, but if you take cocaine out of the economy, the legal and illegal, you have to take both. You can't take one or the other because you're going to destroy the crop. So if you take it out of the economy collapses. I mean, look at how much money Escobar was putting into the economy a month. Something like $700 million a month or something like that was coming into the country for him. There's ridiculous amounts. Yeah, he had to pay. He paid a lot of it out, so that money went to those people. Those people spent it in the economy. So when you take all that out of the economy, it's bad. But uh, the only way to stop the war on drugs is to go find these people and kill them. Now, be nice about it. Just you have the technology to find out where the farms are. You have the technology to find out where the labs are. Just start nuking them. If that's what you want to do. All right, either that or legalize it. When there's legalizing this, there's no money in it. Then, all right. Um, and people understand something about the drug industry. It's what. Oh God, I forgot his name. So I'm just going to say the I've mentioned before what he says, that there's no money in the cure. Well, it's the same thing in the cocaine industry. There's no money in stopping it. If there's no addicts, there's a whole industry there's a whole industry that just goes bankrupt. Hospitals will close. Rehabilitation centers will close. All right, that's people don't understand that. They think, oh, we'll get rid of the drugs. Yeah, right. You're not getting rid of them so long as Joe Schmo wants it and is willing to pay $500 for a shot. He's going to get it. Okay? All right. I wrote a note about IQ, but I have no idea what that meant. Hmm. But let's go back to the Colombian government then. It is a narco government. Everybody that's there is influenced by somebody that's in the business, either from a money laundering standpoint or growing or selling, distribution, whatever. There's just entirely too much money involved there. So they control pretty much everything that goes on down here. And if you're a peace-loving, ordinary citizen, you're screwed. You're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to have what you need. That's the mistake of a narco government. They don't take care of the people. It's a mistake of any government. If you don't want to see a revolution, if you don't want to get kicked out of office, take care of the people. All right, go stand up and say what you think they want. Find out what they want. Now you have in the United States, you have a low percentage of people that want to bring back slavery for women and blacks. They want Muslims out of the country. All right, Muslims going to be the second largest religion in the world if it's not already. All right, so they're not going anywhere. Okay, a lot of their wars were self-defense, or trying to reclaim property that they believed was stolen from them. Same thing. Christians get upset about it. They go to war about anything. Um, it's a bad thing. I mean, religion is not the answer to anything. All right. But this narco business is that's a scary situation. I mean, when you look at it, that they can actually influence a Congress or the president of a country, makes you think, what's going on in the United States? Well, money influences everybody in the United States. Trump is a prime example of that. I mean, if he does everything for money. He has not an empathetic bone. He doesn't care about anybody. And anybody that sits down and believes that he cares about them, he only cares about them if he believes they can do something for him. Now, if they can't do anything for him for whatever reason, he doesn't care. Right? Look at it. Look what happens to the people that go to work for him. Should they disagree with him about anything, they're gone, or they're belittled. Their career, they tries to ruin their careers. Fortunately, there are enough people out there that realize he's an idiot, and these people usually survive because they're career politicians. They're used to lying their way out of anything anyhow. Sport Olympics. Oh, you want to go back to the Olympics for a little bit? All right. Simone Biles is coming up tomorrow to compete. Going to compete again. I have mixed feelings about that. I think she's a special athlete. I think she's great and all that. I think she has emotional problems, and like I said, some other people deserve a chance. If she's not going to compete when she's supposed to compete, she's going to just pick and choose when she wants to compete because of her health reasons. I really think that she shouldn't have been in the Olympics. I'm not saying all the other competitions in the world, but the Olympics are special for people to go to, especially gymnasts. It's the one time they really have a world stage, so it's like the number one. It's like one of the number one. That and the 100-yard dash are like the main events in the Olympics. Nobody cares about anything. Nobody cares how far the guy throws a javelin, or who shot puts what, or Really, it's certain track events and gymnastics. With the United States, it's also swimming. Okay, takes care of that. IQ. I don't. That's a hard subject to discuss. You're talking about a series of tests presented to somebody that's supposed to be able to define how you learn and comprehend. But you can have a person that can like me. Let's look at me, all right? You can stand in front of me and talk all day long. I have a limited attention span when you talk to me, all right? It's like boring, shut up, go away, leave me alone. I have a limited attention span about everything right now. But if it's a visual thing, um, or I can visualize a story where it's written correct, written well, and I can visualize it, it's very intense feeling for me, and I remember it. I That's why I excel in geometry and other maths because of their usage in geometry was good for building. It was good for fishing. Act really, it was good to. It was good for shooting sports and stuff like that. You know, calculus was reading. I love to read, so I had to understand language. You know, English language. I had to understand it. I never pay attention to punctuation. I guess it's automatic, but it's like when I talk, I don't use punctuation. I talk. I don't believe in, well, I should pause here, I should pause there. I just talk. You don't like the way I talk, don't listen to me. All right. I know my voice is becoming, as I get older, my voice is becoming slightly more monotone, which is very boring. And I know that the 30-minute show that I'm doing is hard for people to listen to the whole show, but what can I say? I enjoy doing what I'm doing, and I don't do it for you. I do it for me. Um, let's see what else is going on in the world. Well, let's go back. Let's stay with the IQ. Saying it's a learning quotient. I've met three certified geniuses that at some point in their life cracked for some reason. Although two of them did. One of them, I'm not sure if he went nuts or he was just a very smart man. He decided he didn't want to pay taxes, and he sat down and tried to figure out how to do it. So he took over paper routes. He got an old beat up. He used to ride a beat up. He was a black man. Got a beat up old bike and delivered newspapers. He had the city of East Orange and some other outlying areas as well. Uh, he made enough to put three kids through school, all the way through college, Harvard, whatever. And that's what I think. I think he was in Harvard when he quit. He's a highly intelligent young man, but if you talk to him on the street, he would act like he was stupid until you realize what he was. Some of the kids around the town knew about him, and we could talk to him, and he was a smart man. He knew a lot of stuff. But that was just his decision. The other two, I think, had some mental issues that I met. I had a lot of smart kids in school that were, like by the time they were in the sophomores or juniors in high school, they had 3 or 4 scholarships to colleges, full boats, for physics or whatever. And none of them amounted to much, as far as I can tell. They end up being research rats or something. They don't really. It's very difficult. You have to have an idea and be able to prove it. To become famous, or otherwise you're just a job. That's a problem with science. Uh, it doesn't pay that well, really. Uh, you can do research, but if you do research for another, and you're working for a major company, that research goes to them, and you're never heard of. You're just a body. Yeah, they might pay you well, but you're still just a body. You never get the recognition you need, or you should have. You know. Of course, recognition isn't always a good thing. Ask the guys that were involved with the atomic bomb, Oppenheimer, and the rest. That recognition wasn't such a great thing for them. I mean, it had its ups and downs, Uh, but I've met people that in certain professions that are extremely smart in their profession. You know, I've met writers that if they didn't have editors, they'd never be writers. They can't write with their shit. I mean, grammar, punctuation, that spelling, that's not them. but they're great storytellers. I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm not. I could name 100 authors, and I'm not sure all of them are fit into that category. And I don't want to defame any of them because some of them might be brilliant. Some of them might not use editors. You know, editors are good because as you write fast, and you're trying to put an idea down on paper, and you need somebody to check it. The same thing if you're a professor, if you're a scientist and you have this great idea and you put it on paper, you need somebody else to look at it to try and prove it right or wrong. You know, uh, it's like you can't do things by yourself all the time. Although we'd love to think that we're an independent, we're not. You know, that's what I think a true genius understands that. You know. I think Einstein was a brilliant mind, but he also had a lot of fun. He was somewhat of a womanizer. He got around. Uh, Hawkins, I don't know. Hawkins had a problem. His body gave out on him at an early age. So who knows what he could have done had that problem. I mean, with the brain that he had and what he was capable of doing with under the circumstances that he was involved in. To some of the guys that are out there that are so smart now, they have lives. They have fun. It's a crazy thing, but they have fun. They like to go surfing. They like to do strange things. They don't sit. Everybody thinks a smart person sits in a room and does nothing but think. Those people probably have more fun than the rest of us do, unless you're some nutcase. That you're so that you think you're going to be able to cure the world. If you don't become part of the world, you can't cure the world. If you're going to sit at home and not be part of the world, you can't do anything to the world. You can't help the world. The world can't help you either. Well, we're getting near the end of this thing. Thank God, right? Everybody's going, thank God. It doesn't look like anybody's listening tonight. So I'll have to find out, make sure everything's working before I figure this whole mess out, and for next week. Anyhow, it's been a real pleasure, as always. I'm glad if you've listened, I'm glad, that you've put up with me for a few minutes. We'll try to find something more interesting to talk about next week. Before I go, can you see this? That's my latest wood burning project. This one's a little larger than some of the ones I've done in the past. I've done big ones, but I don't, they're mine. I'm not selling them or anything like that. I have a ton of stuff. I have to try and sell it. I have to do that this week. But anyhow, my 3 for Free seems to be getting some good reception. It's on Facebook, but you have to go to my page in Facebook. And I don't know if how you do that, but I guess the best way, and Twitter, same thing. You have to go to see me. It's not on YouTube. It's on Tumblr, which I don't even know how to tell you to get. I don't even know why I'm on Tumblr. I don't think anybody in the world looks at Tumblr. It's very strange. They're mostly artists on there. They're not. It's not really a blogging spot. But I'm on WordPress. I have my blog, Flounder's Great Adventure. I should change that, but it's so difficult to do. But anyhow, I'll be back next week. I'm going to start doing posting videos because I get these ideas during the week, and I don't want to forget them, which I do occasionally. I'm getting older. We're coming up to the end now. We got 30 seconds left. How do you fill 30 seconds up with? You do that with bullshit, but I'm tired of that. I do. Like I say, I do enjoy this, and if any of you really listen to me, I wish you subscribe because I really do enjoy talking, as you can tell. Anyhow, we got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Good night.